Dragon Soup, a Bureau of Magic abuse story, written and narrated by Jansen. Chapter 1. Back when Perrin was so desperate that he applied for a job as an inspector with a Bureau of Magic Abuse, there were two things he didn't realize. One, that he might actually get the job, and two, that it would involve working with magic sniffers. And what a handful these creatures turned out to be. They were fluffy things the size of a rabbit that squeaked like rats and wriggled their pointy noses. They had black, beady eyes with which they would notice every little movement, and as soon as they spotted him, they would come to the food dispenser in the corner of the cage to see if there was anything to be had. How could one little animal eat that much? When he released them into inn kitchens to sniff out magic, they disappeared behind stoves in pantries and storerooms for what seemed like hours on end, so that he had to wait for them to return while seated in the dining room, having to buy the inn's overpriced, overcooked, and overhyped food. Then, after the magic sniffer returned to him, it would sit in its cage looking pleased with itself, squeaking at him to be fed. They only ate fresh fruit, which cost a fortune, and good grain, which he had to buy from a special shop that sold seeds for pampered pet parrots and the like. And Perrin had been there so often that the owner knew his name. And, of course, that food came out the other end, in little elongated balls. If they were too soft, it meant the animal had eaten too much fruit. If they were too hard, it had eaten too much grain. And besides examining the pellets, he needed to clean them up and refresh the straw in the cage every 2 days. Of course, he needed to buy the straw at ridiculous prices as well. It had to be barley straw, for whatever reason, and barley didn't grow in the field surrounding Tamba, and no one in Tamba except keepers of magic sniffers, meaning the Bureau of Magic Abuse, had a use for barley straw, so it needed to be especially brought in. Did anyone say ridiculous prices? Magic sniffers looked incredibly cute, and there was no denying that. But Perrin was sure they existed only to assist the bottom line of the pet store, to burn a hole in his pocket, and to make his life miserable. He had gone into the kitchen of this rather swanky inn for a scheduled inspection.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?